السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته يا شيخنا.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد. Today, inshallah, we'll continue the reading of our book Al-Adab Al-Mufrad by Al-Imām Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Ismāīl Al-Bukhāri from the chapter Babu Al-Wasat Bil-Jar. Babu Al-Wasat Bil-Jar. The chapter regarding Al-Wasiyat Bil-Jar. The injunction to be dutiful to our neighbors. The chapter regarding the enjoyment, how Islam enjoins us. What are the things with which Islam enjoins us to be kind and dutiful to our neighbors? Al-Wasiyat Bil-Jar. Al-Wasat Bil-Jar. The enjoyment, the injunction, the encouragement for us, Bil-Jar, to be kind and dutiful to our neighbors. Two words are here, Al-Wasiyah, and I think that is clear even from our discussions about our parents. وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. Mankind was enjoined to be kind to his parents. So the same wasiyah is what we have regarding our jar. So wasiyah is an injunction, an enjoyment that we should do a particular thing. In this case, it has to do with our jar. That's the second word we have. The jar is man bijiwarina. The jar are those who are nearby us, those who are by us, who live near us. Some of the scholars have variously given definitions about who the jar should be. It is reported that Ali ibn Abi Talib radiyallahu anhu would say that man sami'a nida fahuwa jar. If you call out from your house, hey, Abdur-Raūf, whoever will hear this your call out, when you do a call out, Abdul Fattah, you can call, raise your voice and do a call. Whoever can hear that voice is your jar. Because he lives near you, so he hears your voice. If you want to call someone next building, Ya Abdul Fattah, you raise your voice. For example, whoever is able to hear that voice, for who a jar. This is a view reported from Ali ibn Abi Talib. Some others amongst the scholars say, Man salla ma'aka salat as-subhi fil masjid fa huwa jar. Man salla ma'aka salat as-subhi fil masjid fa huwa jar. The one who will observe Salatul Fajr together with you in the masjid, that's your jar. Salatul Fajr is the first salah of the day, and it is usually observed in the dark, even in our own days of advancement, as we call it, where everywhere is lit, everywhere has light. Salatul Fajr also occurs in the night, because the first rays of the light of Al-Fajr itself, they are not sufficient to brighten everywhere and make everywhere become bright. So there is still some darkness, especially if it's a masjid that observes Salatul Fajr in the earliest times. You know, the earliest time for Salatul Fajr is what the ulama refer to as observing it as Al-Balas, and away from those who observe it as Al-Isfar. If you observe Salatul Fajr in the night, I mean, when it is still practically dark, you see that this is hardly possible except with people who are around you. They are those that it will be easy for you to observe that Salatul Fajr together. Salatul Fajr will be observed in a masjid together with people who will find it easy to assemble in the masjid of the area. So there are those who say those with whom you observe Salatul Fajr together, they find it easy to come to the same masjid with you in your area, that the entirety of these people make your jar. There's also a third opinion that was reported from Aisha radiallahu anha, and that's the view that al-jar arba'una jaran min kulli janibin. They say haddul jiwar arba'una jaran min kulli janib. That the defining who the jar is has to do with 40 houses. 40 houses in front of you in kulli janib. So in front of you, 40 houses from behind you, 40 houses from your right, 40 houses from your left. I think this is what is usually commonly explained to be the definition of the jar. Those who live 40 houses in front of you, 40 houses behind, 40 houses to the right, 40 houses to the left. This opinion was a very popular opinion. As an individual, I agree with it. And that opinion is also reported from Imām Al-Basri. There's an author in this book itself, Al-Adab Al-Mufrad, from Al-Hasan Al-Basri, the Tabi'i, and that author is authentic. That who is our jar, who is our neighbor? That our neighbor are those 40 houses in front, 40 houses behind, 40 houses to the left, 40 houses to the right. This was also the opinion that was ascribed to our mother, Aisha radiallahu anha. Some others say no, 10 houses to the right, 10 houses to the left, 10 houses to the right, and 10 houses behind us. So that all these people are our neighbors. So you can see that there is some sort of a variation about defining the extent of neighborhood. Who is our neighbor? Shaykh Muhammad ibn Adam al-Ethiopi, rahimahullah, Allah forgive him and shower blessings on him. He favored the opinion, rahimahullah, that says that our neighbors are those we observe Salatul Fajr together every morning. He said because these are the people, whether 40 houses or 20 houses or 30 houses or 10 houses, left, right, center, these are the people that you end up seeing yourself practically regularly. He sees you every morning. You see him every morning. When he goes, you see his children, because his children will come to Salatul Fajr, his male children especially. So you see him, he sees you, and the same is regular. And then he's someone, if he is not nearby you, he will not be able to come and observe Salah in that masjid. So all those who can observe Salatul Fajr in that masjid with you fall under the category of your jar, and the position appears attractive. And Allah knows best that the jar of an individual are those basically who see him all the time. They see him when he goes out. They see him when he comes in. They observe Salatul Fajr especially together. They are mentioning Salatul Fajr because most of the times the rest of the Salawat people have gone out, gone to places of work, and all of this before they return. Salatul Fajr is usually the first thing the Muslim does at home before he leaves. So the people, even though this understanding is upon the fact that there is no male Muslim who will observe Salatul Fajr at home instead of coming to the masjid. This is not from the behavior. It's not a standard behavior of Islam. It's not a standard behavior of Islam that will find someone who is a Muslim who is able to go to the masjid for Salatul Fajr and then he will not go to the masjid for Salatul Fajr. It's not a standard practice of a Muslim. So when the Muslims follows the standards of the religion, he comes to the masjid, he does this with your neighbor. Those who are able to do so to their neighbor, you see them all the time, they see you, they are next door to you. Or in fact, sometimes when you go out for Salat al-Fajr, you'll be going out together. When you return from Salat al-Fajr, you'll be returning together. So all of these people form our neighbors. The houses may be 10 houses to our own house. It may be 16 houses away, 20 houses away. But when we see ourselves regularly because we live in the same area, when we see ourselves regularly because we live in the same area, those are our neighbors. So this discussion here is al-wasat bil-jar, the encouragement we have in Islam to be kind and dutiful to these groups of people. People that we live together and therefore see ourselves regularly. People we see and we relate, we greet, we observe Salah together. These are our neighbors. The reason why all that happens is that our houses are not far from each other. That is the evidence that we are neighbors. We are near ourselves. So we have an injunction in Islam that we must be kind and dutiful to these groups of people. We must not speak evil to them. Hurt must not reach them from us, whether through our speech or through our actions. We shall come back into all of these details as we read from one chapter to the other. So this is al-wasat bil-jar. While still explaining who the jar is, if we say our mother, it's simple. We can define it easily. If we say our fathers, like we were discussing in the previous chapters. Likewise, when we talk about our children, well, here it requires something explaining who is it that we are talking about. That's why we have gone this far to explain who the jar is. But the scholars also explain that ismul jar, when they say al-jar, they say yashmalul muslim. Whether those persons we are talking about are Muslims or not. But they stay near us, we see them regularly as we go out and come back into the house. Yashmalul Muslim. It includes the Muslim wal kafir. It may also involve the kafir. Wal fasik. It may involve a sinful person. May Allah protect all of us. Some of the people may be living near someone who is very sinful in his heart. Sinful, disobedient to Allah. It may even be the next door neighbor. May Allah protect us. As an individual, I had lived in a house once. That was in, I think, 2002. The next door neighbor was a traditional herbalist. I had to leave the house by the second month, even though we had paid the entire rent for that year. That was in 2003. The next door neighbor was a herbalist. He was the Balogun of the town. When the idolaters start the idolatry, they come to his house first. When he burns his incense, as the flames rise, he comes to my own apartment first. These are bad neighbors. May Allah protect all of us. But the fact still remains that he's your neighbor. So how do we handle these kinds of neighbors? Inshallah, we'll be coming to these discussions under this chapter. So we can have, an individual can have al-jarul kafir, a neighbor who is a kafir. You can have al-jarul fasik. You can have a neighbor who is in utter disobedience to Allah in his approach to his life. You can have a sadiq. Likewise, your jar can be your friend. Can be a very, very good friend you have. Not just sadiqul manfa'a, as the scholars will say, a friend who is only your friend at the time he wants to gain from you. He may even be sadiqul fadila, as they say, a friend of virtue, a friend of mutual exchange of virtue amongst the two of you. Very good and close friend. He may be your next door neighbor. May Allah give us good neighbors, because it is from the success of an individual that Allah blesses him in this dunya with good neighbors. So the jar can also be al-adu, yashmalu al-muslima wal-kafir, wal-fasiq, wal-sadiq, wal-adu. It may be an enemy, an avowed enemy against you. May Allah protect all of us. Wal-Gharib, it may be a very strange person. You are Yoruba and your neighbor is from Russia. Very strange. You are Hausa and your neighbor can be Igbo. Very strange. Many of us who live in cosmopolitan cities like Lagos, we have these kinds of neighborhood or neighborliness. You can be a German and your neighbor is from Nigeria. You can be an Indian and your neighbor is from Pakistan. May Allah protect us all. So he can be Gharib, can be someone who has come from a very distant area. He will still stay near you. The neighbor can be Al-Baladi, someone who is originally from the town where you reside. The neighbor can also be An-Nafi Awad-Dar. Abdur, someone who will cause harm to you. An-Nafi, someone who will bring benefit to you. So the neighbor can also be Al-Qarib, he may be a relative. He may also be Ajnabi, someone who is not your relative. So different kinds of people can be our neighbors. May Allah protect us from the evil that individuals get from their neighbors. And may Allah grant us the goodness that individuals get from their neighbors. So neighbor is a neighbor. Neighbor is a dish. So as long as you see yourself regularly, he sees you, you see him, you meet. And that is because you are living around the same area. That's your neighbor. Why he sees you regularly, why you meet him regularly, why he hears what happens to your house, is the fact that you live together. A brother was telling me about his next door neighbor. He says when he looks down from his window, he sees the man's kitchen, what his wife is cooking and how she's cooking. So you can see the reason why this kind of seeing happens is because of neighborliness. So many things happen. You hear the voice of your neighbor. You hear the sound from the house of your neighbor. We heard one of the opinions saying that your neighbor is the one who, when he calls out, hey, Abdur-Raūf, you hear him. These are your neighbors. When you walk with you are best dressed, you come out of your house, he sees you, he's your neighbor. When yourself and your children take a walk on the street, he sees you, he's your neighbor. You see him too when he does all of these that we're talking about. So you see him, you hear him, you feel him, you experience him. He's not like you except that he's not living right inside your house. These are our neighbors. Now these kinds of people may involve, it may be a kafir, it may be a fasik, it may be a mu'min, it may be a sadiq, it may be adu, it may be dar, it may be Nāsir, it may be Gharib, it may be balad, it may be qarib, it may be ajnabi. All of these could be from the category of our neighbor. Al-Jar, this alif wal lam, takes all of them into consideration. So these discourses are regarding all these kinds of people. May Allah protect all of us. This is why in our religion, being careful about those you live with are very important. Imagine that a man lives with a jar that is kafir, that is dar, that is kafir, a non-Muslim, is believing Muslim, that is dar, also hurtful and harmful. You know that's trouble for the individual. How does he handle these kinds of neighbors? We will discuss. So likewise, when you talk about a neighbor that is mu'min, is upon iman, is upon salah and salah, is upon salawat and righteousness, is upon sound character, is definitely also going to reflect. So Arabs have a general adage regarding choosing where you stay. They say al-jaru qabla ad-dar. Al-jaru qabla ad-dar. That is, choose your neighbor before you choose your house. Choose your neighbor before you choose your house. You want to take residence in an area, look at who are those who reside around the area before you choose to reside there. And when they speak about it, they say, when Asiya, the wife of Fir'aun, was begging Allah for Al-Jannah, she talked about Hajar first. She said, Rabbi ibnili indak near you. Even in terms of Al-Jannah, she's asking for nearness to Allah first. Rabbi binili indaka. Before she talks about the Al-Jannah, it says, Sayyidan fil Jannah. Grant me an apartment. Grant me an abode in Al-Jannah. Before she said, grant me an abode, she said, grant me near you an abode in Al-Jannah. She was also talking about jar. Some of the scholars have mentioned that choosing a good jar will affect your religion. It will affect your character positively. It will also affect those of your wife and your children. May Allah protect us from the evil people, evil jar, evil jiran, evil neighbors. May Allah protect us. But the fact remains that they are your neighbors. So how do you handle the good and the bad? Inshallah, we'll be discussing all of these in this section of the book, Al-Adab Al-Mufrad by Imām Al-Bukhāri. I think so far we have understood who the jar is. So what are the injunctions in Islam that teaches us, and generally speaking now, these are the basic rules we are explaining today. What are the injunctions regarding our jar in Islam? Al-Imām Al-Bukhāri has reported a hadith, a number of hadiths in this chapter. The first one is hadith number 101. He has reported it from his Shaykh, Ismāīl ibn Abi Uwais, rahimahullah, a learned scholar from among the scholars of Medina. Ismāīl ibn Abi Uwais. We have discussed Ismāīl ibn Abi Uwais. Imam Al-Bukhāri also reported a hadith from him in this hadith. So here he says, حدثنا إسماعيل ibn Abi Uwais rahimahullah قال حدثنا مالك. Ismāīl ibn Abi Uwais has reported this hadith from Al-Imam Malik. That is Imam Malik ibn Anas. He is Malik ibn Anas Abu Abdullah Al-Asbahi. It's Imam Malik ibn Anas Abu Abdullah Al-Asbahi rahimahullah. Is referred to as Imam Dar al-Hijra. Dar al-Hijra is Medina, the home to which migration was done, the home where the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his companions migrated onto. That is Dar al-Hijra. The Imam of this home, the Imam of Medina, was Al-Imam Malik ibn Anas rahimahullah. There were others who were A'imma in Medina, but he became popularly known amongst the scholars as Imam Dar al-Hijra rahimahullah. He was a great scholar of Hadith. He was a great scholar of fiqh. He was also a great scholar upon the Sunnah of the Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam. One major thing I always remember Imam Malik was that he learned from Nāsir. Nāsir was a freed slave of Abdullah ibn Umar. For 15 years, Nāsir was in the companionship of Ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Umar, the companion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was from this Nāsir that Imam Malik learned a lot of his knowledge. So between Abdullah ibn Umar, the companion of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Al-Imam Malik, we just had one person. Who was that? Nāsir. It means that Al-Imam Malik would have learned a lot from Nāsir, from the way and approach to life of who? Ibn Umar. He would have taken a lot of knowledge from Ibn Umar. He was to talk to Nāsir. Through Nāsir, even though he had other teachers. Rahimahullah. But the impact of Ibn Umar, that's why if you go to Muwatta Imam Malik, the Athar al-Mawkufa, the Ahadith al-Mawkufa you find, the Mawkufa, you find in Muwatta. Many of them are from Ibn Umar. That is the report from a companion that you find in Muwatta Imam Malik. You find them from Abdullah ibn Umar. Why? Because the major teacher of Malik was who? Nāsir. Who was the major student of who? Ibn Umar. Min asbati nas. في الصحابي ابن عمر وناصر. To the extent that he used to say that I am the knowledge of Ibn Umar. This knowledge of Ibn Umar is the teacher of Malik ibn Anas. So this closeness to the companion and then to the Messenger alayhi salatu wasalam, it really interests me about Al-Imam Malik rahimahullah. The other thing that really interests me about Imam Malik is his respect for Hadith. Al-Imam Malik was known for great respect for the Hadith of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And there are so many incidences in his life that has been reported and documented that show this great respect of this great Imam for the Ahadith of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wa sallam. I will mention one of them so that we can proceed. Al-Imam Malik, whenever he wants to teach, he was teaching Hadith inside the masjid of the Messenger alayhi salatu wa sallam. It's big virtue. So whenever it was time to teach, he will take a special bath. He will wear a special cloth. He will wear tie, special turban. He will dress so neatly. Why? He wants to be narrating the statements from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. As if to say he's the one going to sit in front of the Prophet. So out of respect for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and for the statements from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to keep himself very clean, very neat. And you remember in the Hadith of Ibrāhīm, when Jibreel approached the Prophet, بينما نحن جلوس عند النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عند رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم اطلع علينا رجل شديد بياض الثياب شديد سواد الشعر لا يرى عليه أثر السفر ولا يعرفه منا أحد. This لا يرى عليه أثر السفر was because Jibreel on that occasion was dressing very neatly. He was wearing a very fine cloth. His hair was well combed and dyed. So Al-Imam Malik will take to this character. Whenever he also wants to speak in a gathering of men, he dresses very well, very neatly. He wants to be talking about Sayyidul Bashar, the leader of all human beings. He will dress very neatly. This approach of Al-Imam Malik to the statements of the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam is very interesting to me. And there are so many things in his life when he spoke in defense of the statements of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Another one, let's mention this and proceed. The Prophet, Imam Malik rahimahullah, will so much respect the Prophet's statements, the hadith of the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam. So much that if he knew that he has a view in the matters of fiqh, upon which he gave a juristic reasoning, if he heard a hadith that contradicted that view, he dropped that position quickly and he took off the hadith. Shaykh Muhammad Nāsir Al-Albani in the Muqaddimah of Sifatul Salat Nabi, he narrated an incident regarding Al-Imam Malik when he spoke about Ghusl al-Rijlayn, washing both feet during wudu. He did not, rahimahullah, mention taqleel al-asabi, placing your small finger in between the fingers of your feet, in between the toes of your feet, when you wash the feet during wudu. Al-Imam Malik did not mention this issue. After the gathering, one of the students went to him and said, Imam, there's hadith about taqleel al-asabi. When you wash your feet during wudu, don't just wash the feet. Place your fingers in between, place your left small finger in between the toes of your feet. That is wajib. It has the hukum of wujub. Washing in between the toes of your feet, its hukum is wujub. Al-Imam Malik was approached by the student who heard him describe the wudu, not mentioning this. And the Imam asked him, Amman, all that he wants to know is whether the isnad is right. Who narrated to you? And the person who told him gave him the isnad of that hadith up to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It was reported that on the next occasion the Imam came to mention that this is out of respect for the statement of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. and he is popularly known to have said that إذا صح الحديث فهو مذهبي when the hadith is sahih. That is my view. So whether I gave a view you think contradicts a hadith, drop my view. That's my view. My new view when you find an hadith that is sahih regarding a matter that I had spoken about, my new view is that hadith that you have found to be authentic. Rahimahullah. This Imam is a person of Sunnah. He lived his life upon the Sunnah. He taught the Sunnah. He lived the Sunnah. In fact, he was also always known to say out of respect for the statements of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, "Ma minna illa yu'khadhu minhu wa yuraddu alayhi." There is no one amongst us who have come, no matter how much level you have attained in knowledge. Yu'khadhu minka, your statement may be taken. Wa yuraddu, your statement also may be rejected. Illa sahiba hadha al-qabr, except the one who the person is in this qabr. Sahibu hadha al-qabr, the one in this grave, pointing to the grave of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. So everybody's statement can be taken or rejected. The one who cannot be taken or rejected, who can only be taken, is who? The statement of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. Imam Malik had great respect for the Sunnah. Here we can count a lot in his life. The entirety of his life was upon affirming the Sunnah and establishing the Sunnah of Messenger. Alayhi salatu wasalam. We have spoken this a little detail about this Imam, because this is the first time we are reading a hadith of him in this book, Al-Adab Al-Mufrad. That Al-Imam Al-Shafi'i was a student of Malik. He learned Muwatta from Al-Imam Malik. And he would usually say that إِذَا جَاءَ الْأَثَرُ. People had asked me recently, what is the meaning of Athar? Athar is Sunnah. Athar is Hadith. Athar is Sunnah. So Imam al-Shafi'i would say, إِذَا جَاءَ الْأَثَرُ. When a Hadith comes, when it comes to the issues of Athar, when it comes to the issues of reports from the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam and the companions and those who came after them, he says, Famalikun Najm. Famaliku and Najm. Malik is the Najm. Malik is the star. Why did he say an-Najm? He said, وَبِالنَّجْمِ هُمْ يَهْتَدُونَ. That is, Malik is the one from whom we take guidance. When it comes to issues of Hadith, ask Malik. When it comes to issues of Hadith, can I follow this Hadith? How is it? Ask Imam Malik. He was a great scholar of Hadith, rahimahullah. Although the fiqh aspect of him is more well known by the people, but those who are well grounded in the sciences of Islam, they know that Malik was a great scholar of Hadith, as he was a great scholar of fiqh, as he was a great scholar upon the Sunnah. Rahimahullah. His name is Malik ibn Anas Abu Abdullah. Rahimahullah. We can go on and on about this Imam for days. Rahimahullah. But we can proceed to read our Hadith. He's reporting this hadith from Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari. Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari is his teacher in this hadith. If we go to Fadlullah al-Samad, that's one of the first, if not the first sharh of this book, Al-Adab Al-Mufrad. And Fadlullah al-Samad was written by Shaykh Fadlullah al-Jilani, rahimahullah. He mentioned that this Yahya ibn Sa'id is Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan. This is an error. Al-Imam Malik never reported hadith from Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan. This report is from Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari, not Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan. The tabaqa of Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Qattan is lower than the tabaqa of Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari. So this hadith is from Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari. We can find that clearly in Sahih Muslim and in Shaykh Muhammad ibn Adam al-Ethiopi's commentary on Sahih Muslim. I think that occurs in the 41st volume number 41. From page 138, 139, we find this discussion. So the person from whom Al-Imam Malik reported this hadith was not Ibn Sa'id al-Qattan. He is Yahya ibn Sa'id al-Ansari, rahimahullah. قال أخبرني يحيى بن سعيد الأنصاري said أخبرني أبو بكر ابن محمد. So he is Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad ibn Amr ibn Hazm. Amr ibn Hazm, he has a son called Muhammad. That Muhammad has a son called Abu Bakr. His kunya is his name. Abu Bakr is his kunya, is also his name. So he is Abu Bakr ibn Muhammad ibn Amr ibn Hazm. Is the one who has reported this hadith from Amra. Amra is bint Abdur-Rahman Al-Ansariya. Amra bint Abdur-Rahman Al-Ansariya. She's from amongst the women who have reported a lot of ahadith from Aisha. Amra bint Abdur-Rahman Al-Ansariya. Radiallahu anhu. This isnad is a powerful isnad. A very, very sound isnad. It is from the asanid of Sahih. If you go to Sahih Bukhari, you find these kinds of asanid, these kinds of rijal, these kinds of reporters. Rahimahumullah. So Amra bint Abdur-Rahman has reported this hadith from Aisha, our mother, radiallahu anha, and in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. She is reporting from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the Messenger said alayhi salatu wa salam, ما زال جبريل يوصيني بالجار حتى ظننت أنه سيورثه. ما زال جبريل يوصيني بالجار. ما زال جبريل يوصيني بالجار حتى ظننت أنه سيورثه. ما زال جبريل. Jibril did not stop me, enjoining me, encouraging me, telling me to keep kindness, telling me to keep my duties regarding the neighbor. That is, he continued to tell me, The scholars say this expression, ماذا لجبريل فيه بالجار, they say you feel the takrar. It means Jibril was coming repeatedly. He was telling him, وَيُفِيدُ الْكَفْرَةِ. Takrar, وَمَاذا? وَالْكَفْرَةِ. It repeatedly happened that Jibril was telling me, be kind to your neighbor, 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 be kind to your neighbor. So he did that repeatedly, and he did that many times. Jibril continued to enjoin me to keep duties, to be kind, to be compassionate with my neighbor. Hatta, so much so that ظننت أنه سيورثه. I was thinking that, I was hoping that, I was feeling that that certainly he will soon bring an injunction from Allah, that will give a share of inheritance to the neighbor, as if to say the neighbor will now be considered as part of the family who can share from a person's heritage, a person's inheritance. That is, I was thinking that the neighbor may still be counted as from those who can inherit. Why was he thinking like that? Because Jibril continued to tell me, be kind to your neighbor, be kind to your neighbor, be kind to your neighbor, be kind to your neighbor. So I began to think, will the neighbor at the end of the day become from amongst those who can share from our inheritance? Will the neighbor come amongst the heirs? Will the neighbor in the end? Jibril may soon bring an injunction from Allah that the neighbor should share from property when the person dies. Why was the Prophet thinking like that? Because Jibril continued to tell him about sin. You see me bil jar. And the wasiyah to the jar is that we are dutiful to the jar. We extend every kind of goodness in speech and in action to our neighbor. And we keep away every kind of hurt in speech and in action away from our neighbor. The entirety of our statements, negative ones, we should not direct them to ourselves. May Allah protect us and grant us good neighbors. Some neighbors will provoke their neighbors to the extent that all that they will hear from them are negative. May Allah protect us. This is not from the way of Islam. Islam basically encourages us to say what is good. When the Quran says, وَقُولُوا لِلنَّاسِ حُسْنًا, say what is good to the people. After our parents and our children inside the house, those who have this obligation that we say good to them are who? Our neighbors. And we have said who the neighbor could be. The neighbor could be a Muslim. The neighbor could be a Kafir. The neighbor could be a mu'min, the king. The neighbor can also be fasik, can be a dar, someone who brings harm to the individual. He wants to harm you in respect. He may also be a Nāsir, someone who is beneficial to you. Different kinds of persons. The basic rule about dealing with all of them is that don't direct harm to them, whether in your speech or in your action. Likewise, as much as you are able to direct goodness to them in both your speech and in your actions. You direct good to them in your speech and your actions, and you prevent hurt from them in your speech and your actions. You can see how Islam spreads goodness and peace in the community. It enjoins us, be kind to your parents. It started from there. And then it came to say, be kind to your family members. And then your wife and your children. And then your neighbors. Are the teachings of Islam spreading peace or not? And it is connecting all of these with our relationship with Allah. Islam really spreads peace and peaceful coexistence amongst the people. In all its teachings. In all its teachings. Even when you deal with a difficult to handle jar, we shall come back there. Al-Jar-Su, the evil neighbor. You still keep in mind that the basic rule about dealing with him is that you must not hurt him. And that you must only be of benefit to him. This is the basic rule about dealing with all our neighbors, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. We shall come back to those ahadith in this book, inshallah. Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, radiyallahu anhuma, he would, when he lived with his neighbors, and these neighbors were Jews, when he cooked food in his house, he extended it to them, and they were non-Muslims. So it's not just about the Muslim neighbor, even though when you want to reside in an area, choose a Muslim. Choose an area where, yes, what will connect you and the rest of the people will start from Salah. Not just because you are living together. Yes, you need to Salah. You say, I have lived in a community where the entire community meeting is conducted in the masjid after Salatul Fajr. The community meeting is conducted in the masjid after Salatul Fajr. Why? Because everybody in the community will come to the masjid for Salah. And it was a very, very interesting community I lived in. I lived in that community for 4 years. It was in Kaduna when I was in the north. It was a very, very nice community. It was a community my neighbor traveled and he was calling me over the phone that his wife had started getting into labor. Abu Nāsir, my wife is in labor, go and carry her to the hospital. And I went there with one of my family, we took her into the car. I was the one who drove the woman to the hospital. A community where your neighbor will come and say, oh, Ustaz, I see that men come to your house to learn. If you find anyone suitable, I have 4 daughters. Just tell me, I will give them my daughter. How much trust and mutual love was spread in that community. Why? It was a community of Muslims. Most of what we did started inside the house. If we were to contribute any money, it was from the bank. Wallahi, it was a very, very, you never see. Sometimes we would not lock our gates when we went to sleep. In the community. May Allah protect all of us. When we live in a peaceful community, everybody is enjoying the community. Everybody enjoys the community. So this is what Islam wants for us. Regarding, imagine this kind of a community in every part of the town and every part of the city. How is life going to be for the Muslims? And of course, even the non-Muslims. May Allah protect all of us. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam spoke about how important it is for us to be kind and dutiful to our neighbors. It says, مَا زَالَ جِبْرِيلُ يُسْينِي فِي الْجَارِ. Jibril continued to encourage me regarding the neighbor, to enjoin me regarding the neighbor. حَتَّى ظَنَنْتُ أَنَّهُ سَيُوَرِثُهُ. The adjuration to be kind to the neighbor, the enjoyment that I should be kind to my neighbor, I should be nice to my neighbor, was so repeated so much that I thought that the neighbor will be counted from amongst those who will inherit the individual when he dies. ظَنَنْتُ أَنَّهُ سَيُوَرِثُهُ. I was thinking that Jibril will come with an injunction from Allah that neighbors should also share from inheritance. So that is how much we should be kind for our neighbor. Islam repeatedly tells us, be kind to your neighbor, be kind to your neighbor, be dutiful to your neighbor, be dutiful to your neighbor. And kindness and dutifulness is that you direct every goodness to him in terms of character and speech, and you protect him from every evil in terms of the character and speech. May Allah protect all of us. I hope that this hadith number 101 is clear and it's an enjoyment regarding our neighbors. We can move to hadith 102. Al-Imam Al-Bukhāri reported it from Sadaqah. It says, حدثنا Sadaqah. That is Sadaqah ibn al-Fadl, Abu al-Fadl. Sadaqah ibn al-Fadl, Abu al-Fadl al-Marwazi. Sadaqah is Sadaqah ibn al-Fadl, Abu al-Fadl. Sadaqah bis-Sad, Abu al-Fadl al-Marwazi. He said, أخبرنا ابن عيينة. Al-Imam Ibn Uyayna, we have read a number of hadiths that he reported. That is Sufyan Ibn Uyayna Al-Hilali, Rahimahullah, Al-Amr. He is reporting this hadith from Amr, who is reporting from Nāsir ibn Jubayr. Jubayr is Jubayr ibn Mut'im. So Nāsir is Nāsir ibn Jubayr ibn Mut'im. He is reporting from Abi Shuraish Al-Khuzai. Abu Shuraish Al-Khuzai. Abu Shuraish Al-Khuzai, his name is Khuwaylid. Khuwaylid ibn Amr, Rahimahullah, radiyallahu anhu, is a companion of this hadith. And in Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, he is reporting this hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That the Prophet said alayhi salatu wa sallam, Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir, falyuhsin ila jarihi. ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه ومن كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليقل خيرا أو ليصمت. The Prophet said عليه الصلاة والسلام, من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر, whoever believes in Allah واليوم الآخر, and the day of judgment. To believe in Allah, that Allah is my creator, is my Rabb, and Allah is my Lord that I serve, and Allah is the one who has sent Muhammad alayhi salam. Yu'min billahi wal yawmil akhir. Wal yawmil akhir, he also believes in the day of recompense. Believes in Allah. Allah is the one who commands, who has the final ruling upon me. And Allah is the one who will reward me. If you believe like this, that Allah has created you, He has the power over you, He has given you injunctions that you must follow, and you believe that He will reward you for whatever you do. That is al-imanu billahi wal yawmil akhir, and so on. It says whoever has this kind of thing in his mind, and this is the situation of every Muslim, Man kana yu'min billahi wal yawmil akhir, the Messenger said alayhi salatu wassalam, falyuhsin ila jarihi, let him show goodness to his neighbor. Yuhsinu ilayhi, direct goodness to him. If you believe in Allah, the day of Judgment. Look at Allah, look at the Messenger alayhi salatu wassalam connecting between goodness to our neighbors and iman billahi wal yawmil akhir. So from the aspect of Iman billahi wal yawmil akhir is that you are kind to your neighbor. There are a lot of issues in this. One of them is that it means that from the aspects of Iman are action. God is saying that if you believe in Allah and the day of Qiyamah, do this. So from the aspects of Iman is our actions. Our statements and our actions are from the aspects of the Iman. Our statements and our actions are from the aspects of Iman. So your good speech to your neighbor is from the aspects of Iman. Your good deeds to your neighbor is from the aspects of Iman. So from the aspects of Iman is that you are nice to us. Direct goodness to your neighbor. Whoever truly believes. It means those who really will do this job are people of Iman. And that when we do it, our Iman will rise. Because it's a good deed that is connected to it. If you want your Iman to rise, be nice to it. The Iman will rise. The Messenger said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyuhsin ila jari. Whoever believes in Allah and the day of Qiyamah, let him therefore be nice to his neighbor. In another riwayah in Al-Bukhāri says, وَلَا يُؤْذِي جَارَهُ فَلْيُحْسِنْ إِلَى جَارِهِ وَلَا يُؤْذِي جَارَهُ. He should not also cause harm to his neighbor. Don't cause harm to your neighbor. One of the scholars was explaining this hadith. He said one of the worst harms you can cause to your neighbor is that you are peeping into his privacy. You are peeping into his privacy. His wife, his daughters, you want to see how are they. The early Muslims were reported that when the daughters of their neighbors pass by, they move away. They don't want to have their eyes casting their glances to the daughters of their neighbors. They take away their eyes. When the wives of their neighbors are walking on the road, they take away their eyes. They move away, the men. But these days, we're in a generation where the neighbors are prying. They are the ones who want to see the privacy of the wives and the daughters of their neighbors. If it were possible for some neighbors, they want to peep into the bedrooms of their neighbors. They want to be asking for unnecessary details about their neighbors. They cannot mind their business in terms of preserving the honor of their neighbors and don't fraud their privacy. But today, this is the kind of harm people cause them. Sometimes people cause harm to their neighbors in terms of raising voices and louding volumes of radio or something. Everybody's making a noise. Some Muslims will be playing barista and all of this. They're disturbing your neighbor. It may even also be Quran. I remember that some of the scholars like Shaykh Ibrāhīm, Shaykh Ibrāhīm, if I remember vividly, they say that during Ramadan, when during the midnight, some people will be observing Qiyamul Layl in Ramadan in the masjid, during the midnight, this usually happens in the last 10 nights of Ramadan, that to be speaking in the microphone, reading Quran in the microphone, and speaking aloud in the microphone to disturb the community is itself from the aspect of directing harm to your neighbor. Your neighbor wants to sleep. The night is the time to sleep. وَجَعَلْنَا اللَّيْلَ لِبَاسًا. The time to sleep is the night. You come in the masjid and then in the microphone. You can do what you are doing with yourself in the masjid and not bring harm to your neighbor. So raising the voice could be from the way you hurt your neighbor. Prying and prodding into the privacies of your neighbor could be from the way you bring harm to your neighbor. Some neighbors are good at that. They put their ears on your doors. They want to steal to hear what you are saying with your wife. I have seen this before. I was discussing with a professor in the masjid in our community. And some of the people sent their children, their wives, to be listening from the windows. They did not know that I had left the place. When I came out and saw the people there listening from the windows to what myself and the professor were. It's a bad attitude. Don't go about using your ears or your eyes to begin to prod into the privacies of your neighbor. Respect your neighbor. Don't direct harm to him. Bring every good you can to him, if it is true that you believe in Allah and the Messenger. The Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, ihsin ila jarik, be nice to your neighbor. Wala yu'zi jarahu. لا تؤذي جارك. Don't bring harm to your neighbor. He said again, alayhi salatu wasalam, وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُكْرِمْ ضَيْفَهُ. Whoever also believes in Allah on the day of Qiyamah, فَلْيُكْرِمْ, let him honor his ضيف, his visitor. Your brother comes to visit you all the way, from Lagos, from Ibadan, from anywhere. Akrim him, honor him, respect him, pay attention to him. Don't leave him to stay somewhere and then you get busy with some other. I am busy, I want to study, I want to write, and then your visitor is sitting down. So, if you can't provide him, you can't entertain him, you can't sit down with him, you can't talk to him. These are not from the Adab of Islam, if we truly believe in Allah and the day of Qiyamah. So he said, alayhi salatu wasalam, Man kana yu'min billahi wal yawmil akhir falyukrim ضيفه. The last one, he says, وَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. Whoever also believes in Allah and the day of Qiyamah, he is certain that whatever he does will be rewarded. If you do anything, you get the reward. And you want good reward from Allah. فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا. Say what is good. Let what you say be good. Or let him therefore just keep quiet. The Islamu Al-Abr. Let him keep quiet if you cannot say what you say. That means that before you make a speech, you must think about its goodness. Otherwise, don't make that speech. That's why Imām Shaykh said, إِذَا أَرَادَ أَحَدُكُمُ الْكَلَامِ. When anyone of you, Al-Imām al-Nawawi cited this statement in Kitab al-Adab. But Al-Imām al-Shafi'i made that statement in his book, Al-Umm. He says, إِذَا أَرَادَ أَحَدُكُمُ الْكَلَامِ. If any of you wants to speak, فَعَلَيْهِ أَنْ يُفَكِّرَ فِي كَلَامِهِ. You have a duty to think about what you want to say. فَإِنْ ظَهَرَتِ الْمَصْلَحَةُ تَكَلَّمَ. إِنْ ظَهَرَتْ. If al-maslahatu, if benefit is clear in that statement, that this statement is a beneficial one, takallama, let that person speak at that time. Wa in shakka, if he is in doubt, what I want to say now, it may be beneficial and it may be wrong, it may be this, so lam yatakallam hatta tazhara al-maslahatu. If he's in doubt whether the statement will bring good or bad, lam yatakallam, he does not speak hatta tazhara al-maslaha, until it becomes clear that he should speak. Nothing will come of it except what goodness. That is why he should speak. It means our minds and our lips must control our tongues. Our minds. I didn't say our brains, because thought is actually done in the mind. The place of thinking is the mind. The mind holds the faculty of thinking. Thinking happens inside the mind, not necessarily inside the brain, although it's not also disconnected from the brain. So employ good intelligence and good reason before you speak. Be sure that what you want to say is good. If it is not good, you are in doubt. Some people want to sit, they say, Astaghfirullah. What I want to say, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah, Astaghfirullah. Why are you saying Astaghfirullah before you commit a sin? As if you are giving insurance. If you know that what you want to say is a sin, why say it? Why say it if you know that it's a sin? Imam Shafi said, if you are still in doubt, don't even say it. How much more some people know that what they will say will not bring but evil. They still went on to say it. On social media, it's from everywhere. They send it, they WhatsApp it, and it is evil. They know when they said it, it was going to bring about it. Do these people truly believe in Allah? May Allah forgive all of us. So, فَمَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيَقُلْ خَيْرًا أَوْ لِيَصْمُتْ. Let him say what is good or keep quiet. But the point of benefit in this hadith is what? مَنْ كَانَ يُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ فَلْيُحْسِنْ إِلَى جَارِهِ. The one who believes in Allah and the day of Qiyamah, let him direct goodness to his neighbor. I think that the point is made. So if this chapter comes under Al-Mufrad, the enjoyment, injunctions in Islam regarding kindness to the neighbor, we have seen these two hadiths. Jibreel came to remind the Prophet repeatedly until the Prophet was thinking that will the neighbor be counted as from those who will be given inheritance? And then the Prophet said, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whoever believes in the man day of Qiyamah should show goodness to his neighbor. So these are the enjoyments we have in Islam regarding us. We beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rectify us and rectify our neighbors. Beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect us from whatever evil our neighbors may have. We beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to bring us nearer to whatever good our neighbors will have. May Allah make us a means of goodness to our neighbors. May Allah make us a means of goodness to our neighbors. May Allah make us a means of goodness to our neighbors. I think it will be sufficient that we stop here, inshallah. So we can take one or two questions before the hour. I mean one.
This one says, as regarding co-wives, is it wajib to greet on daily basis? For example, we live under the same roof. Is it compulsory to knock on the door to knock on our door to greet her or to greet her perchance?
Well, this is a discussion that is wider than the question. The discussion is wider than the question. But with other questions regarding our neighbors were asked. So that in answering the question, the essence of today's talk does not wither away. We should always look at what we are discussing when we send in our questions. Issues of myself and my co-wives, they come repeatedly. They could be answered in very many other avenues. But here, right now, we can say, the question is it compulsory? I have to go and knock on the door of my... It's not from evil. It's not from evil. It's not from evil for you to go and knock on the door of your co-wife. You knock on the door, koko, assalamu alaikum. It's not from evil. The least ruling it will have is that you are encouraged to do so. Because you are encouraged to make isha with salam. To extend salam. We'll come to that in this book to Al-Adab Al-Mufrad. We are encouraging Islam. Extend salam. So if you extend salam, to those you live inside the same apartment, is there anything wrong about it? Not restrict ourselves to Islam of is it compulsory? Is it compulsory? We should leave this approach to our religion. People will say, is it compulsory that I do so? Is it compulsory? It's like saying, is it compulsory that you're a good person? Is it compulsory that you're a good person? If you must be called a good person, these are the characters of the good people. So don't say, is it compulsory for me to be a good person? I mean, how do I answer that question? So, but be good, be nice. وَأَحْسِنُوا إِنَّ اللَّهَ يُحِبُّ الْمُحْسِنِينَ. Be nice to people. Allah likes those who are nice. That's sufficient for us. So if we say no, it's not compulsory, so your co-wife is in the house, you two are in the house. Let's forget about these kinds of approaches. It will be bringing a drawback to you, whether you know it or not. May Allah protect us. We can go on to the next question. We can make it the last question.
This one, I think it was because you mentioned your you told us about your previous community.
No.
Said, does this mean that it's compulsory to attend or neighbor meetings, even if they do activities like planning Christmas party and all that?
I say again, let us remove this approach. Is it compulsory to this? Is it compulsory? Because our religion is not just all about things that are compulsory. Our religion is not about things that are compulsory alone. They are about things that are very strongly encouraged. You'll be hearing scholars saying, Sunnatu mu'akkada. The companions did not used to ask the messenger all these kinds of questions. Is it compulsory that I do this? Is it compulsory? They all want to be good. Just tell me, Dullani ila abwabil khair. Guide me to the doors of goodness. And they want to do good. This should come in our mind. let's reduce this approach. Is it compulsory that I did it? Is it so the best of things that a person will do to ennoble himself and the rest of the people he's living with. The person will drop it and say, it's not compulsory. You are destroying yourself gradually. Okay, it's not compulsory for you. Even in salawat, can someone say, okay, I want to leave off things that are not compulsory from my salah? How will that salah be? You want to leave off things that are mustahabbat from your salah. How will your salah be? So live a life of, I want to do what is good. I want to be nice. So let's not be asking, is it compulsory? Is it compulsory? It may not be compulsory, but it may be good. And that good thing may lead you, when you do it, you would have been fulfilling something else that is also compulsory. When you stick to doing something that's not compulsory, that's good, many times you just find yourself that even those ones that are compulsory, you're already doing it. So let's not limit ourselves to, is it compulsory that I do this? Is it compulsory? Let's remove this approach of the asking question. Now, can a person, should a Muslim attend a community gathering if it involves issues of Christmas or attend community gatherings for community benefits? The issues of security are usually the main thing besides the security in the community. Where we live before now, where we live now is everybody on his phone. Everybody is a big man on his phone. Hardly find anything like that. So, but where I live before now in the north, when we graded the entire street, the street was graded. I mean, the road was leveled and made to be nice. It was inside the masjid because it contributed money for that project. Every house at that time, that was 4 or 5 years ago. The same thing when the electricity in the area had an issue. It was in the community. When it was announced to us that the Christians across the river had become our community, it was in the masjid that we were discussing how to protect ourselves against them. So community meetings go beyond Christmas organization. But if you know that at the time that they want to organize Christmas, they will be talking about Christmas, then if you don't go, in fact, they can ask you, why are you not coming to community meeting today? I'm not coming because you are talking about organizing Christmas, and my religion is against that. So in the matters that our religion encourages us, you now say because in December they will discuss Christmas, in January to November they will be discussing other serious and important matters such as the ones we gave in the examples. So you say because the one in December, you not attend for all others. You not have anything to do with the community. You not pay security fees. You not pay all other fees that all other persons in the community are paying. You'll be making a very big mistake. So attend the meetings. When they discuss and say Christmas, if they want to mention the issue, you can say to them, we in Islam, we don't participate in Christmas. It may even encourage some of them to start asking, why do Muslims not participate in Christmas? You tell them, Christmas itself is not supposed to be done by even Christians because the basis of it is idolatry. You can start a religious discussion in the community meeting. I have attended a community meeting here in this city, in the first house I lived before now, where I was asked to do an opening prayer. And I told them that it is wrong, there is nothing like opening prayer as Muslims in a meeting. There's nothing like opening prayer. Even though we Muslims now, we are now used to it also. The Muslims are used to opening prayer in gatherings. Now, even in lectures, they say opening prayer. I don't know where the Messenger alayhi salatu salam starts with the companions. He wants to teach them Islam, and then they say, Abu Bakr, give us opening prayer. This is common among we took it first. Muslims want to drive in a car on a journey. They say, Apa, give us dua. All these are things that our Islam, our religion, has not taught us. مَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ بِهَا مِنْ سُلْطَانٍ. Allah has not sent down any kind of approval for these kinds of things. When people gather, sit down. The one who wants to speak, he starts with Inna Alhamdulillah, the chairman of the gathering. This is what he even threw away. Start with Khutbah al-Haja. Inna Alhamdulillah, and then you start talking. At the end of the sitting, everybody says, Subhanaka Allahumma bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. This divine guidance of Islam even sets aside. So when I said I was not going to do an opening prayer, everybody was surprised. They asked me, Afa, why? And I told them the reason why. I told them the reason why. And I also told them it is wrong for us to do all this. They tell the Christians to start praying, and then you start asking, thinking whether you should say Ami or not. So we should speak against it. These things are wrong. Our own religion does not permit us to do it. And we try to tell them what our own deen, Islam, says we should do or we should not do. So don't run away. Take the battles to them. If it is a battle, take the matter, take the discussion in front. The act is not passive. The act is not passive. Bring it in the front. Put the matters on the table. Let's get in the front. So I think this should be our approach to issues in our community. But don't be a passive, docile, lily-livered Muslim. Everything is a problem to him. Everything is against him. Why are you not come in front of the design? And most of the time, you find that most neighbors, if you present your matters very well, they are ready to accept it. Why are you running away? What are you running away from? So may Allah protect all of us. I think it will suffice for us to stop here on the questions regarding our neighbors. Allah will continue this process and we will treat more issues, inshallah, as we read other ahadith in this book, Al-Adab Al-Mufrad, inshallah. I think we can stop here.
نعم جزاكم الله خيرا يا شيخنا أحسن الله
سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.